In January 2023, I was facing a layoff from my job at Shopify. I had no real tools and about $5,000 left to take a shot at something new. We put every dime of that money into a Onefinity X50 Woodworker CNC, and by the end of that year, we had made over $250,000 in sales from this tiny closed-in carport. This is exactly how we did that.
This is where our theme song will be.
In June 2022, Marina was laid off from her job in Shopify, and it was devastating. I was working at HR at the time, and I could see that more layoffs were coming. We needed a backup plan, and fast. We became obsessed with CNC videos on YouTube from Two Moose Design and Hamilton Dilbeck. I had a background in graphic design, and Marina had run multiple businesses and was a jeweler herself. So we knew that we could make this work if we had the right machine. Luckily, Shopify at the time had what they called a lifestyle spending account. Every year, they give you $5,000 that you could put towards random things like a gym membership, massages, housekeeping. But because they're an e-commerce company, they also allowed you to put that towards business expenses. So we knew that if I could just make it to January and that money rolled over, I'd have $5,000 to spend on a new business. So the morning of January 1st, 2023, I spent every dime on an X50 Woodworker from Onefinity. We had no idea what we were doing, but we were 100% in. We cleaned out our garage, we built a table, we bought a shop vac and an Oneida dust separator. The purchase of Onefinity also came with a year of Carveco, but we're a Mac household and I didn't want to run any Windows programs on my Mac. So I ended up using Easel to learn how to design everything because it was free. I promised Marina that we wouldn't spend any more money until this thing started paying for itself. It arrived on January 20th, and honestly, I don't think I've ever been as excited to unbox something. It was like grown-up Lego. I was super intimidated. It was solid, it was beautiful, and we had so much fun putting it together. The only problem is that we didn't have any wood to cut. We ran to our local hardwood supplier with dreams of Paduk and Wenge and everything I'd seen online, and they only had maple and walnut. And the walnut was $50 a board foot. Honestly, I was crushed. And like we live on the West Coast, there are trees everywhere, and we couldn't find a hardwood supplier close to us. I ended up buying one board of walnut just to get going, but it was so expensive, I still have 2 feet of it in my shop because I was too scared to use it. Our first projects were total disasters. But after a couple days, we figured it out. I had a whole bunch of artwork from old businesses, and we used that to just make new trays. We had like maybe 100 followers on social media at the time, and Marina was posting everything. And the minute it got like a decent amount of likes, she would boost those posts. Then on January 26th in the morning, we got our first sale, and Marina changed that boosted post into a full-blown ad. And by the end of the day, we had made over $500 US. I looked at Marina and I said, this thing's going to make us rich. If we can make $500 in January, can you imagine what we'll make at Christmas? And we have the entire year to prepare for it. She didn't believe me, but by February 15th, we had made $5,800 US, which was more than enough to pay for all our initial investments. After that, the machine never stopped. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., just to keep all our neighbors happy. Our dust system was completely overwhelmed. We had garbage bags piling up in the carport. Every tool we had broke. Everything except for the Onefinity. That machine just kept going. By the end of 2023, we had done over $170,000 on Shopify and $80,000 on Etsy from this tiny shop. Like, it still blows my mind. The one thing I can say is that if you're on the fence about getting a CNC, this machine changed our lives. It is the hardest working member of our team, and it has never let us down. We'll break down all the real costs, the breakdowns, the lessons we learned in another video. But if your first goal is to pay off your CNC, that's the hardest part, and it is definitely possible. Now let's make something together. I'm going to walk you through another simple project like the one that helped us pay off our machine fast. So Father's Day is coming up, and that is a great holiday to be able to test a whole bunch of different niches. I myself have two fathers. No, not like that. But the one I'm going to design for today likes the green stuff. So we're going to make a rolling tray. So one thing that I would highly recommend if you're going to be recreating something that other things are going to fit in is to pick up a set of digital calipers. They're pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon or pretty much anywhere. Marina had these because she was a jeweler. But they're vital to be able to recreate things in a perfect size. Just like before, we're going to start with the size we want. I'm just going to make this one 14.5 by 10.5. I'm going to bring the tray in. Now, this is something that I have seen a ton of online. But the cool thing about this is that we're going to design one completely unique to us. This is going to be a gift for my dad, but this is a great targetable niche, not just for Father's Day. A ton of people love personalized gifts, especially with how many people enjoy the green stuff these days. So I had bought some things. These are for grinders. I just measured them out with those calipers. I know that's the size that it needs to be for the grinder to fit in. And just like before, we're just going to put a bit of an offset around. We're going to move these around just to make it so that it's completely unique. Just spacing it around. I wanted to have about a 1/2 inch space in between every element. We're going to fill it full of little boxes and trays for everything you'd need. Rollies, lighters, cones, whatever comes up. But the main basis of this is going to be the actual rolling tray at the bottom. So again, I'm just eyeballing all this. Normal shapes. I did put a radius on all of my boxes, just so it looks a little fancier. So that box was actually the size of rolling papers. And I don't really know exactly what, like I know what I bought. I bought a lighter, I bought a grinder. Like I had bought a few things, so these are for the lighters and the grinders. But these are all just random shapes and random elements. I'm just going to space them all around. I'm going to use the align tool just so they all are in a line together. Again, I'm just looking for little cubby holes and little things to place in here. So, and I'm not 100% on this design yet. I'm going to add all this stuff in and then I'm going to move it around again when I'm done. But one thing I do know about a rolling tray, and it's very important, you need to have a section of it that you can scoop things out of. So you don't have, basically, so you don't have a tray with shake and stuff in the bottom of it. So I'm just going to make a little rectangle and I'm going to place one in each corner. And then when I use the bull bit to hog out the material of this tray, it will also take out a little lip in the corner. So you can just drag your finger through there and pull out any excess material. Now, to make this tray sellable or personalized, I definitely do want to have a spot for some text. So I'm going to move stuff around. I was just thinking of a funny joke I could put on there for my stepdad. There we go. That's the beginning stage of a tray. Now we'll do all the cutouts, but as always, we'll put the file on our website. If you use this tutorial to make your own tray, please let us know. I'd love to see it. And yeah, it's super easy. Now we'll just do all the cuts. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll grab the outside. I'm going to add a offset. So I do a clearance path. And the reason I do that is because I'm going to be engraving on this. So I want to make sure the top is completely flat. Because we won't be removing a lot of material, I'm going to crank the speed up. So, or a step over. So I'll just do 40%. I use that 1/2 inch straight flute. I get them on Amazon. They're super cheap. It's got a 1/4 inch shank and it hogs out a ton of material really quickly. Now we're going to select all our little pockets or trays or whatever these are for our lighters, our grinder, rollies, everything else. I'm going to select them all. I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch end mill on this. I use a down cut. I'm going to do it in 2 stages, just like our other tray. So the first one I'm going to do at 0.6 down, starting at 0.02 because we have that clearance path. So I'll do it twice. I'll do the first one down 0.6, and then I'll come in and I'll do a second pass that starts at 0.62, and then only takes off another 0.02. And on that second one, I'm going to change the step over from 40% up to 10%. That way it's going to completely clean out the bottom of that tray. So I'm not going to really have to sand in there much. Next up is the actual rolling tray section. I'm going to use a bull bit for this just because I want to have a rounded edge so it's easier to drag your finger through and clean out. Just use a 1/2 inch. And again, I'm going to do this in 2 stages. We're going to start at 0.02. We're going to cut the tray out at 0.6. And then once that's done, we'll duplicate that step again. The second one starting at 0.62, take out only 0.02 inches, moving the step over from 40 to 10% so that the tray part has to barely be sanded. There won't be any step over lines. And our final step is just going to be selecting that outside line, creating a profile tool path on the outside as thick as your material, and that's it. It's done. So now I'll run the preview, and that's exactly what it's going to look like. Now, one thing I probably would move that text up a little bit. Again, you could space it around if you want to fit it in different. I could make it in 2 lines. I could put it anywhere. But one pro tip that I do want to mention that I've been doing recently is whenever I'm doing little trays or pockets like this, just to give it a little extra, because I don't want to have to use my router every time, is I have been going over all the lines with a profile toolpath with a 90 degree, that same 90-degree bit, just to give it a bit of a bevel on all those little sections. So again, I'm just going to select all the little pockets and the outside line. I'm going to make it like 0.1 inch deep and make sure that it's cutting right on the line. And it just really upgrades all those little sections. Makes a huge difference in presentation. So there we have it, another project in the books. I'm kind of happy with this one. It's exactly what I wanted. As mentioned before, I'll put those files on the website, but I'd love to see what you guys do. If you guys do something similar, or you use this tutorial to make your own tray, I'd love to see it. So we smashed our goal of 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. I appreciate you guys. If there's something else you want to see us make or something you made yourself from one of our tutorials, we'd love to see it. There's been a ton of great questions and feedback on all our videos. We've been trying to answer those as much as we can. If there's something that you want to ask us directly, feel free to DM us anytime. Thanks for watching.
This is where our theme song will be.